1.
Hey, welcome in, guys. It's time to get started with Bollox Talks and Tangents. Lenny and I are back in our regular seats this week. Thank you, John and Blake, for sitting in for us. Lenny and I had to do some traveling, not together. We do spoon together, but we don't travel together. Right. Lenny, you had a great trip.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. And Rebecca and Maeve and I had a wonderful trip to Spain. And we're just happy to be back sitting in the Studio B here in the 904 studio.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
Yep.
It's like being home.
All right, so we're drinking tonight from Citygate Spirits, the Apple Pie Moonshine.
Apple pie in the sky.
Apple Pie Moonshine. And I was going to do a little splash in there, do a little mix, but this one's so good.
It's straight.
Doesn't need it.
Yep. And it's it's still the autumn.
Oh, that's a good dessert bourbon.
Yeah.
Like right after you eat, instead of having the actual apple pie, have the apple pie moonshine instead. So, and I can even see drizzling this over ice cream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
I think that would be the way to go with this.
Oh, you could really deuce it up. A little piece of apple pie a la mode, and then pour this on top just to gild the lily a little bit.
Oh, yeah. All right. Today we're talking about the worst cars by country and the best cars by country, and there's so many different countries out there. And Lenny, I narrowed it down to the 4 countries that I associate with cars the most.
Okay.
All right. United States.
Correct.
Germany.
Vroom vroom.
And Japan. And then I threw in Britain.
Sure.
Because they kind of were ahead of the game, and now they're not so much in the game at all. So, but before we do that, we have to talk about our amazing sponsors. First off, we talked a little bit about St. Augustine Distillery and Citygate Spirits. These guys are just always there in the community. They're stepping up, and they have the best tours in the entire country if you're a distillery person, and they have amazing flavors with their liquors, and with their spirits. Citygate, I think, is one of the most creative groupings of spirits I've ever been associated with.
It's wonderful,
and I got to give so much credit to that that incredible staff over there, because they're constantly coming up with new stuff.
I was in there. I took a friend of mine. We did some serious damage to their inventory, and brought home a lot of flavors. And I introduced myself to the manager, who I had met once before. I want to say his name, Dylan or Duncan. I hope that's it, and if it's not, I apologize to Dylan and or Duncan.
Yeah, I know Will,
right,
who's the GM basically over there. So and these guys are true professionals.
Yeah,
true professionals.
The distillery itself won the Bottle Cap Award. As the best distillery in the country.
Yeah. It's amazing. That's amazing. I was talking to Philip right before we went in the studio with Mike over there, and just a guy who's always involved. Philip's one of the original owners and the owner of the distillery and Citygate, and Mike, the other one, just great guys. Just great guys. Another great guy that's on our sponsor list and on Sponsor Row. You gave him Business of the Year.
Absolutely. Hands down.
Year. And he can win it every single year, like we were talking about so many different businesses here in town. And that's Meehan's Irish Pub.
Yep.
Reggie and his entire crew over there, we're just so thankful. They've been with us the entire time we've had the show. And they always just step up and do what needs to be done. So,
yeah, and the food is great. The staff is fabulous, and their community involvement is as good as any other business in town, if not better than most. They participate in everything. They're nonstop. Their staff is supportive of it. It's just a fun place to be.
Yeah, I don't know what's... Okay, there it goes. I was like, look, I froze up over here.
Oh, now you know what I was talking about for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I froze up. All right, Hebert Kresge and Associates, Billy Hebert and his crew over there. To me, they're just the best CPAs in town.
That's true. They keep you out of jail.
They keep me out of jail. They keep me out of trouble. They save me more money than I've ever been able to save in my life, and it's because of their professionalism and what they can do for you, and that's Aber Kresge and Associates.
And people start collecting your documents now because April comes early.
Yeah. It's easy to write that extension.
Don't I know?
St. Augustine Pirate Museum. You're a frequent flyer there now.
I am. I enjoy it so much.
And Maeve and I walk over. We go over there. It's one of our regular stops. Mm-hmm. So she's starting to know the crew. And I'm telling you right now, this museum, you look at it from the outside, you're like, oh, it doesn't look that big. But when you get inside, it's the best use of space and amazing information inside that museum.
Just be forewarned, if she asks you for a cutlass for Christmas, don't keep your eye patch on because you need both eyes open.
We have eye patches and cutlass already.
Okay,
they're inflatable ones.
All right, fine.
So they're inflatable ones. But St. Augustine Pirate Museum, wonderful people. Yep. All right, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about Kaiser's Deli and Market.
You want a sandwich? Holiday season's upon us right now. If you're having a house party, you're having a New Year's Eve party, you want a charcuterie board, a sandwich platter. You won't find a better one than Kaiser's Deli and Market, 4 White Street on Anastasia Boulevard. It's just, the food is fresh. It's all Boar's Head products. It's all safe Boar's Head products, trust me.
Yeah.
The bread is fresh every day from Village Bakery up in Jacksonville. And you won't go wrong. I mean, I brought more people there for the pastrami sandwiches that have just said it's the best pastrami they've ever had. And, the other sandwiches, my friend Blake is a big fan of the White Street. And get impressed. It's a good sandwich. It's good meat. And like I said, the catering he does between the sandwich platters and the charcuterie boards, best in town.
Yeah, I can tell you that pastrami, wherever he gets it from, I think it's right next.
He gets it from the navel.
I think it's right from next to heaven there. But I'm telling you, that is just amazing pastrami. All right, last but definitely not least, give me a call if you have any real estate needs at Coquina Coast Realty. That's 904-669-7901, 904-669-7901. I do have office space available in the Cigar Building and at the Treasury right now, of a couple of different sizes offices. And if I can't help you there, I'll find a spot for you. So appreciate it. All right, Lenny, it's time for our word origins. Are you ready, sir?
I will be as soon as I spell this word.
Oh my goodness! All right, so we're talking about worst cars and best cars, and I went with worst cars. Jalopy.
Ooh,
do you know the word jalopy?
I do.
I don't know if it's Blake. Have you ever heard the word jalopy?
No, I have not.
You have not heard the word jalopy. I don't think it's used as much today.
No,
as it is. And a jalopy, and Blake's never driven a jalopy.
No.
Did you ever own a jalopy?
No, I had a couple of hand-me-down cars. I did have a Pontiac Tempest with a Landau roof that was completely gone, and it lost its speedometer cable and odometer cable, so I never knew how fast I was driving.
Mm-hmm. I had a jalopy. I've had several jalopies because I was a guy who would buy a $500 car, and if it made it 2 years, I felt like I was stealing. So I drove several jalopies, and one of my jalopies was called the Whistler.
Ooh.
Because the speedometer was broke just like yours.
Okay.
All right. And but it had a certain tone at different miles an hour, so I knew how fast I was going. It whistled. The car actually whistled. What the hell are you doing, Lenny? We're doing a show.
I'm here. I'm participating. I multitask with the best of them.
Are you actually there, Lenny?
I'm here. Hi, honey. I'm home. Right.
Like, is he here?
Is the oven on?
Am I ever really here?
He says I'm going to wing it, but that's not putting your. Oh, goodness gracious!
I mean, also to be fair, Dad. I mean, I definitely do think Lenny does have Grateful Dead face.
Yeah, dad face.
Grateful Dead face.
Grateful Dead face.
I do.
Okay, great. You do. Yeah, but what we were looking at was his forehead.
Is
it shiny?
All those fans just stare like this every time they take acid before a concert.
All right, Blake. Here, I want you to put the camera that's on me, and Lenny, look at the screen. Here's what it looked like when I asked you a question. Look at the camera.
I am.
All right.
Okay.
That's what we saw.
Look,
my shiny head.
Yeah.
Fine.
That's what we saw.
But also somehow might get
He's
somehow.
going with this Grateful Dead. He's disrobing.
Oh no,
The show,
Lenny!
we look at the hair now.
Pet your hair down. Pet your hair down.
Oh, get that stuff. Oh, Julie's going to be so mad.
Put
at
the
you.
grease
It's
in.
easier now that I got a haircut, but I had to get my steely up. My little steely face.
All
Rest
right.
in peace, Jared.
We were talking about jalapenos.
Yes,
all right?
sir.
And it actually, the term came from a 1924 in New Orleans. It was written by some men that were talking about a scrapyard in Jalapa, Mexico.
Okay.
And they were talking about how terrible the cars were, and they need to go to Jalapa. And that's how a terrible car became a jalopy.
Interesting.
1924, Jalapa, Mexico.
So should it be a jalopy or should it be a yalapi?
It should be a Yalapa.
Yeah,
It should be
okay.
a Yalapa.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little softer
Yeah.
on the consonants.
Yeah, but, it's New Orleans.
There you go. Well,
And-
it's always New Orleans to me, and I get yelled at all the time.
New Orleans, and,
Right.
and they ain't going to say it right.
No.
They say certain things, they ain't going to say it right.
Right. Yeah.
So, all right, so what is your word origin? And it better be a good one because you were ignoring me the entire time.
I heard every word you said.
Oh,
It was just no eye contact, so I apologize for the lack of love.
Yeah.
Well, I'm staying in theme, and I'm going with Roadster.
Roadster, okay.
There you go. It's an automobile with an open body that seats two and has a folding, retractable, or removable top, often a luggage compartment in the back. So it was sort of an early touring car is what a Roadster would be. Mm-hmm. Coincidentally, it's also a horse that's suitable for riding on driving roads. But yeah, and it's been kicking around. This is the stranger thing. Mm-hmm. The first known use was in 1760, and that had more to do with the horse than the car.
Oh, okay. So it was a carriage? Is that what it
No, it was just a horse that you could drive on roads, on streets and roads instead of in the trails and paths.
Oh, okay. So the horse was called a roadster.
Correct.
Okay, so I was
right.
thinking it was a carriage behind the horse.
No, it was the horse itself.
The horse itself was a roadster.
Correct.
Gotcha.
As opposed to, I guess, a trail horse or a range horse.
Yeah, I gotcha. So we have 4 countries: Germany, USA, Japan, and Britain. And those are you prepared to speak on those 4 countries? And we'll probably spend more time on the USA than.
Well, okay, if we don't blow up.
Yeah.
Don't get rear-ended in that one.
Yeah.
Right.
So I say we pick Britain or Japan to start, and then we'll work our way like the smaller ones to the bigger ones.
Okay.
So actually, Japan's probably one of the bigger ones now. But
there you go. Well, I got a British one for you.
Let's do the British ones.
Okay, the Triumph Stag.
Triumph Stag.
Now,
Okay, I don't know what the Triumph. And Blake, if you can, I'm going to make you put on your production hat.
There you go.
The best you possibly can. And as we bring up these, if you can bring up an image of them, I think that'll help the people that are out there watching and seeing what's going on. So the Triumph Stag, is that your good one or your bad one? I don't even know.
It's interesting. It's sort of a hybrid in the fact that it was a beautiful automobile, but it'd kill you.
Oh.
It was not unlike the airbag issues of today after a fashion.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful car. There was chrome trim on it. It had nice looks, nice lines. There you go. Pretty car.
Oh, that's not a bad looking car.
No, not at all. And Triumphs are nice cars. At least this one's in a pretty blue as opposed to English Racing Green. 1970. And it was really well appointed. But there's only one problem. The engine was so bad that it would throw pistons, and the pistons would either come through the hood or come through the body and hurt people.
Oh.
So that does not qualify as a good car.
That does not qualify as a good car.
Yeah.
It was a good looking car.
That's what I'm saying. It was sharp. It was just, take your life in your hands when you're driving it.
All right. And I'll go with the worst English car.
Okay.
In my opinion. And it was my very first car. I had an MGB.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Great looking car.
Yep.
Girls freaking loved it.
Convertible, correct?
Yeah, convertible.
Yeah.
It had the 3 windshield wipers. So, Blake, if you can find a black and white MGB, mine was a 1978 MGB, but it has a cooling system that was awful. It has the fans.
Okay.
And if it had the ability, either the fan stayed on too long, burn out your battery, or the fan didn't come on, and burn up your engine. All right, it has the worst electrical system in the world. British Leyland is known for having terrible electrical systems. Were you able to find one, Blake?
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
Was it up already?
Yes, it was.
Did I miss it?
Yes.
Okay, can you pull it up one more time? Sorry. Dang it.
See?
I'm getting cussed at by my own son and producer. The only person getting paid in this place.
Well, because obviously you're not paying attention. You're looking down at something else instead of looking at that.
Well, that's a black one. I had a white one with a black racing stripe on it.
Okay.
Every other Sunday, that car would break down.
Now,
At one point, the brakes went out on it. What I mean, the brakes went out on it. The brakes completely went out on it. I could downshift, and at one point I had to shut it off with it in gear and slam on the brakes. But my friend Darren Bosick, still my friend today, I play golf with him, when I can, was in the car with me. We had the roof down. Like I said, it was a cool looking car.
yeah.
And he would have to jump out at intersections and hold on to the bumper. I'm downshifting, and so we're still just kind of drifting.
Yeah.
So he would jump out, grab the bumper, and actually try and hold on. Big
Big strong boy.
No, he wasn't that
Really?
big. He was a strong guy. He's still a strong guy, but he wasn't that big of a guy. But that's the worst British car. I think it almost cost me my life several times.
Now, was the racing stripe right down the center of the hood?
No, it had the side
On the sides?
side
Okay.
racing. It did have a line, but it wasn't the wide one.
The wide one, yeah,
It had
okay.
the 6-inch one. And I was coming back from Ocala. I was probably a junior in high school, coming back from Ocala, and they had a real narrow bridge right there where the St. John's crosses in Astor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking narrow. And as I'm approaching the bridge, I'm probably doing like 60, 70 miles an hour. As I'm approaching the bridge, I told you the electrical system's the worst. All the lights go out. I have two choices. I'm either try and slam on the brakes, which I don't know if I can stop because my brakes suck,
Right.
or I just try and aim towards the middle of the bridge. I chose the second part. I aimed towards the middle of the bridge and just stayed on the gas. I didn't even touch the brake. I was like, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go. I went through, and as I hit the middle part of the bridge where the hump is, I went a little bit, and as I came back down and I landed, my lights came back on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's
So all I need to do is hit a bridge.
right. That's it.
So yeah. So that was one of the adventures of an MG. So just a horrible car. All right, what's your best British car?
Oh, you got to go either a classic Jag or a classic Rolls. Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud is always a good default car. And, Jaguars, which are now getting viciously abused on the internet for their new concept model that's all pastel-y and neon, it's not going over well. But, a Jaguar XKE is just very lovely.
Yeah.
And the Jaguar convertible is, let's get back to, a touring car type of thing. They're sexy.
Yeah. Oh, and I just realized, Blake, you realize my first car and your first car were both British cars.
Yes. I did notice that. In fact,
I didn't even notice it until I just talked about it.
well, technically, the Land Rover almost wasn't my first car. It was a Ford conversion van that we got from Great Expectations.
It never had a title, so that was never your car.
Right.
So,
Never
Blake,
existed.
Blake, now you know me pretty well. What do you think my favorite British car is? And I've never driven one.
Okay.
Blake, what do you think it is?
I know your favorites is Shelby, but of course that's an American car. But he did build some of his cars in Britain, though.
No.
A Jaguar E-Type.
Come on, Blake, you bought me the shirt.
Oh, McLaren.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Come on, Blake.
All right.
You failed on that one so bad. He bought me the shirt. So I love a McLaren. I've never driven one. My
right.
friend actually is like, hey, come over. I'll let you drive it. So, and they bought me a sweatshirt, a McLaren sweatshirt.
Yeah.
So I got to go with the McLaren. I just think they're the coolest freaking cars. And maybe after I drive it, it's like meeting your
Right, yeah, right.
meeting your idol or something. Like
Yeah.
you're never supposed to meet your idol.
Nope, never works out.
So I might not want to drive it, but a McLaren.
You got to give it a
McLaren.
shot.
And I love the look of a Bentley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bentleys and Rolls Royce to me are
they're class.
the epitome of class.
Yep, they're class.
So.
And interesting because the new Rolls Royces are fine, but the old Rolls Royces from the day, those are the ones that had the open chauffeur and the closed cabin.
Yeah.
So the chauffeur would sit there and there was no roof over him, and then the back of it was your sedan part of it, and it was very comfortable in there if you were rich.
if you're wealthy enough to afford it.
If you were rich.
All right. Let's move on to Japan. Because what other honorable mentions should we talk about with the Brits?
Well, we did MG, we did Jaguar, we did Rolls.
Mentioned the Land Rover.
Yeah.
All right, and I saw a fact that almost, I want to say it was at one point, 90% of the world's first vehicle they saw was a Land Rover.
Well, that's because they were all over Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were all over all the colonies.
Right. Right.
It wasn't just Africa. It was in Asia. It was in Australia. It was. I mean, in several continents, the Brits dominated at one point.
My dyslexia gets me to juxtapose a lot of things, and I always have a hard time remembering the distinction between which is the Land Rover and which is the Range Rover. And I think the Range Rover is the one that's the open top, more sedan-y and less SUV looking one. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a sharp car. I also think that's the one that Grace Kelly died in on the High Corniche.
Yeah.
But I like that car a lot.
Grace Kelly did?
Yeah, that was Princess Grace. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she died in a car accident.
Monaco.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Grand Corniche is at Seaside Road that runs up there. Yeah.
But I do want to give a personal honorable mention to Aston Martin, especially the DB5.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the one
James
that's going to
Bond.
shoot you out the back and put smoke and oil slicks and shit?
I bet so, man.
Yeah.
So you definitely don't want to mess with anyone driving one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Bond might be in there.
But then thanks to product placement, poor James Bond was driving BMWs lately.
Really?
Yeah, in some of the later movies, he was driving BMWs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've had a couple BMWs. And, they're
And actually, a couple of those were
bring
really
money
nice.
with.
Yeah, well, right. As opposed to fix or repair daily for your Fords.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can't bust on the Fords. My Fords have been very good to me.
I agree.
My BMWs, they'll put a hurting on you. All right. Are we ready to go to Japan?
Hi.
All right. So what Japanese vehicle would you have as your number one? Which one would you have as your best and worst?
I think in this day and age, you got to kind of go with Toyota. Fortunately, they're starting to make more of them, or some of them here in the United States.
Is there a particular model of Toyota that?
Well, I'm kind of partial to the Tacoma, honestly, as a late model car. I like the truck. I like the fact that they've got a full size, but they've got a small size one. They've got a small size 4-door Tacoma pickup, and I really covet that truck. And and there's one particular reason. It's got a very, very high wheelbase. Mm-hmm. And the next car I get, because right now Julie and I are driving a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old car. And I'm kind of proud of the fact that we're driving what are soon to be jalopies. Mm-hmm. But I think around here between wind damage and hurricanes and water rising, I like the concept of a very high wheelbase. Mm-hmm. And the Toyota Tacoma small pickup truck has a very high wheelbase. Now, of course, for me,
Blake's Tacoma was great.
Yeah. My Tacoma is really good as well. Like Toyota makes some really good pickup trucks as well. Yeah. And definitely, we don't have this in the U.S., but I do want to shout out the Toyota Hilux though, because it's very popular with a bunch of group of people in a certain area. We might be fighting against them.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I was always wondering. You always see that when there is. Al-Qaeda or whoever was cruising around, the Taliban, and they're all driving fleets and fleets of Toyotas, which they add machine guns to the back of them. And I'm figuring we could eliminate their offensive capabilities by just stop giving them cars.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
I think that was a low-tech solution to a high-tech problem.
The way to beat them is to make their oil worthless. Because that's how you beat them. Right. Because that's how you crush their entire economy. And when you can't afford to buy the car, you will have a car, so you don't have to worry about not selling them any cars.
And by extension, our gas would be very inexpensive.
Yes, our gas would be very inexpensive, which makes all our products less, much less when we go to the grocery store.
Sure.
When we go anywhere, it's going to be because that shipping cost is real. All right, my Toyota. I have two from Japan that I really like.
Okay.
I'm going to go old school. I'm going to go with a 240Z.
Okay.
Datsun, like when they came out
Datsun,
with that.
not Nissan. Datsun.
Datsun.
Back in the day. Yeah,
Datsun.
sure.
And my sister had a Datsun pickup truck. It was jacked up in the trunk instead of the other way. It was this
Right.
way. In the 80s, the trucks were hiked up in the back and low in the front. I don't know how they see today with the squatty
over the dash. Yeah.
All right, so I really like the 240Z. I think they kind of got away from certain things, and I just like the way those look. And my friend, that's a beautiful one you just brought up there, Blake. My friend growing up who played ball at DeLand High School when I was a young guy. He was older than me. Jim, he always had Z's. He 240, 280. He just moved up when the numbers moved up. But the other one is the Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Just like you were talking about.
Yeah.
The Toyota Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
So those two stand out to me in Japanese cars.
And the Land Cruiser was one of the really first successful SUVs that wasn't an American and that was really ubiquitous. It was everywhere. It predated the Nissan Pathfinder. And I always found the original Pathfinder, is very strange because the door handle to open it was on the door jamb high up, and I never understood how people didn't lose fingers.
Yeah.
It was just in a weird placement.
Well, the Japanese couldn't reach it.
Neither could I.
All right, but
Big fan of running boards.
Yeah, but what personally say for me, I would definitely say the original Nissan Skyline GTR, and then the remake of the GTR in 2007. Those are
nice looking.
Those are some great cars.
That's fancy.
Yeah, those are some nice looking cars. All right, and I did have a great Honda CRV. A little SUV, and I think I got like 230,000 miles on it.
Wow!
And it was still running when, actually, I gave that one to your grandmother. Blake, you remember that?
Which one?
The CRV.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. So I mean that one was a great car. All right. Worst Japanese car.
The Miata.
Dude, you beat me to it. You beat me to it.
I'm sorry.
You mean the one you can pick up with? Can pick up with one hand?
Here's my thing. It is a good car. I drove in a Miata before. It is fun to drive.
Sure.
To go.
Not the early ones, dude. You drove in a more modern.
I drove a more modern version.
The modern ones are okay, but when the Miata first came out, it was an MG Japanese version.
Yes.
So that's all it was,
Yeah.
And it was kind of underpowered, too small. You might as well be on a scooter on the highway.
Yeah.
So the new ones have a little bit of ass to them.
Right.
They made the 4 cylinders much better than what they were in the 80s. What year did Miata come out? Like 83?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
And the thing with that is, and nowadays, because everybody is driving something huge and something high between every SUV, or certainly in a lot of states and in the South in particular, everybody's driving Ford F-150, giant or super duty, heavy duty, giant trucks. They could. It's like a monster truck compared to a Miata.
It debuted in '89.
89? Oh, was that late?
Later,
I thought it was when I was in college.
Yeah.
I guess I was in college then.
But but definitely will say though, I'm definitely surprised you didn't say. I knew you were going to say Miata for the worst car, but also bet number 2 is the Toyota Prius.
I don't even consider that a car. That's not a car.
It's
not a car.
It's a vanity thing.
Yeah. I can tell you this: Japanese car that I'm going to go with instead of the Miata, because Blake took the Miata, is the Suzuki Samurai.
You know, when I lived
It's
in
way too high, super light. You cough on it, it flips over.
oh yeah,
So it's like the car in the little cartoon movie Cars that just would fall over.
right.
And it's basically the car version of a fainting goat.
When I worked in Puerto Rico, I worked on an island called Vieques, which is a tropical paradise. It really is. Gets beat up by hurricanes a little too frequently, and it's one of the 2 Channel Islands off of the Big Island of Puerto Rico, and it's a great place. It was primarily an American military base for many, many years. There was a Marine base at the east end of the island that had been a bombing range, and they would use it to calibrate the guns on warships and planes. And GE was the company, or it was either RCA or GE, had a bunker on the top of a hill where they would use to calibrate the guns on these warships. And, where I lived and where I worked was right on the Caribbean side, because on this island, there's the Atlantic side and the Caribbean side on the south. And you'd wake up in the morning and you'd look, and all of a sudden there'd be a Jagunda battleship out there. And then you start hearing, and shells would start lobbing in. And it worked out brilliantly for years and years and years until a couple of shells went off and they killed a couple of civilian guards there, and that was it. The indigenous population, the local Viequenses, just went ballistic.
Obviously so.
Yeah, and they no pun
They're
intended.
all related to
Right.
them.
No pun intended to the ballistic part of it,
Yeah.
by the way. And they ended up forcing the U.S. government to close down the bombing range, which was great because it had some of the best isolated beaches on the island. It was also where I'm trying to remember what the Clint Eastwood movie was, where they filmed the invasion of Grenada.
Heartbreak Ridge.
Thank you. And they filmed it
Gunny.
there. They filmed it there.
Okay, Gunny.
It was really pretty impressive to see that. But what they had to do twice a season is the EODs, the explosion, ordnance, and demolition technicians from the Navy, which is, they're kind of SEAL adjacent. These would be the guys that would come out of torpedo tubes and go either defuse undersea mines or plant undersea mines, and they were SEAL-esque. They really were. But these guys would go in there and they would collect all the unexploded ordnances and dig a huge trench, put them in there, fill it with det cord, and give one Jagunda explosion and take care of all this stuff to make them, not dangerous anymore. And then all these guys would come in there and they'd come to our bar and they would start drinking like wild men, except they would do B-52s. And a B-52 is a layered drink. It's like a Pousse Cafe, where you layer the 3 things, and it's Kahlua, Amaretto, and Grand Marnier.
Yeah. Grand Marnier, I can tell you this. I don't think I've ever been more sick in any particular night than I was doing shots of Grand Marnier.
Agent Orange.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, that is something that will make your innards.
There's a little bit of sugar in that.
Your innards will come out.
A little bit of sugar.
And I have a permanent bridge. I have summer teeth, in case you guys don't know. I have summer teeth. Some are here, some are there. And I had a flipper at the time. So, you know what a flipper is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can pop it out.
Yeah.
So anytime you felt like you were going to get sick, you had to take your teeth out. All right? Because if you didn't take your teeth out, you either had to catch it in the middle.
They come out one way or the other.
You had to catch it in the middle of the vomit.
Right.
Or you had to pick it out of the toilet. All right? So I'm holding my teeth on the side of the road, the church across from Target, before there was a Target, and I'm throwing my guts out. All right? And I get home and I'm throwing up in the yard. And I didn't drive. I wasn't driving.
Well, that's good.
But I still have my teeth held in my hand. I cleaned up and I actually woke up the next morning with my teeth in my hand.
All on Grand Marnier.
Grand Marnier. I've never touched Grand Marnier since that. We're talking late 90s, mid 90s. So
I worked in a restaurant in Great Neck in 1987, place called Millie's Place,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a busy restaurant, 175 seat restaurant. We did 600 dinners on a Friday and Saturday night,
Wow.
and I ran the kitchen in the evenings, and it was great. And we had a roast duck on the menu,
Okay.
and it had an orange sauce. And we were constantly sending to the bar for Grand Marnier for the duck sauce.
Okay.
We didn't put any
You
Grand
didn't-
Marnier.
there was
We didn't
no
put any
Grand
Grand Marnier
Marnier
in the duck sauce.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but we were a very happy kitchen.
Yeah.
We were a very happy kitchen.
All right, wasn't Gordon Ramsay type. It was like,
No,
hey!
yeah.
All right, we got to go over our sponsors. Coquina Coast Realty. Give me a call, 904-669-7901. Kaiser's Deli and Market. If you haven't made it there, you need to get your butt to Kaiser's Deli and Market on White Street.
And try the Bollox.
Try the Bollox. I suggest you do the Bollox. You tell them how to do it.
Pressed, baby.
Pressed.
And you like to split. You like to split it. You like to swap out some of the meat. You like the turkey and the pastrami.
I like the turkey and pastrami
instead
together.
of the turkey and the ham. Yeah.
Instead of turkey and ham. Just amazing over there. Tell Kaiser we said hello. St. Augustine Pirate Museum, Cindy and that crew do an amazing job. They run the Colonial Oak.
Yeah.
They run, the Taberna Bar. They run Bull and Crown.
Yep.
They run the Colonial Experience. These guys do an incredible job. Get down there and see them at the St. Augustine Pirate Museum and tell them Bollox sent you.
Yeah,
All right,
please.
Hebert, Kresge and Associates. If you're starting a business, you don't have a tax guy. If you're doing your own taxes, stop. Call Hebert, Kresge and Associates. They are going to save you money. It's like, oh, I don't want to pay that fee. They're going to save you twice as much in what the
Right.
fee is that they gave you. So call Hebert, Kresge and Associates. All right, Meehan's Irish Pub. These guys know how to do it right.
You won't go wrong.
It is Lenny's Business of the Year for 2024. Reggie and the crew over there, 3 bars in one. They have the backyard, they have the pub, and then they have Johnny's Oyster Bar
Yep.
upstairs.
Yep.
Just an incredible experience. And right now they light up like any other group out there. All right, St. Augustine Distillery and Citygate Spirits. We're drinking today. We are drinking the apple pie moonshine. Mine's almost gone, Lenny. I don't know where yours is at.
I'm about half.
But I can tell you this is a quality drink, and they have amazing flavors at City Gates.
And you know what's so impressive about it? You know, you go to a lot of flavored liquors, and you can tell artificial flavoring. Not these guys. The flavors are spot on. I mean, I made my feeling about the peach known very, very often, but their flavors are so accurate and so real. It's not like there's artificial flavors in a lot of these things. You know, their pineapple rum, their coconut rum, the peach in particular, and the apple pie. It's just good stuff. You know, they use quality ingredients, and a lot of the stuff, and it's not high proof. So, you could drink a bunch of it, and it's a good cocktail base for a lot of things, too.
It's not going to give you that rough feeling the next day.
You're not going to have to catch your teeth.
No, you don't have to catch your teeth from anything they sell over there, unless you go a little crazy.
Right, there you go.
All right, let's go to Germany. And then we're going to finish with the USA.
Sure.
And we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on it because I do want to talk about the USA. Germany, the same car kept popping up. I was not familiar with this car. And Blake, if you can pull up the Trabant.
There you go.
All right. And this could be the worst car ever made
And it was the only car they made.
in East Germany.
Yeah.
So, but I'm giving it to all of Germany.
Right. Take that, BMW.
And it was made from 1957 to 1990.
1990 or 75?
It says tonight the longevity in production from 1957 to 1990 is more of a testament to its era than its quality.
Right.
So, and that is the Trabant, and it's an ugly car.
Yep.
Blake put up even an uglier one than I've seen. It was very, very affordable, but
The beauty of communism.
it had a smoky exhaust, which sometimes came into the car.
Right.
And it basically its popularity before the wall fell was much higher than after the wall.
Yeah, I would think so.
Closed.
Because they could get real
They
cars.
closed up shop at that point.
Yeah, they could get real cars then.
But it could be possibly the worst car on the list of what I read.
Yeah.
Did you see any other car that was as bad as this one?
Well, I'm kind of thinking of the car that made Ralph Nader famous, the Corvair.
Oh yeah,
That's
dangerous at any speed or
yep,
whatever.
Yep, deadly at any speed.
Deadly at any speed.
Yeah.
The only one I could think of worse, but the Corvair actually looked okay.
Yeah. It was a little. It had some style to it, but it would smoke you out too.
But it looked okay.
Yeah.
This thing would kill you and was ugly.
Right. There's nothing redeeming about it.
No.
Right.
You ever see the sliding scale of a woman, the crazy to hot scale?
No.
Okay, you need to look that up.
Okay.
The crazy to hot scale, and it's a scale of her hotness to her craziness, and there's a certain level of the perfect woman to crazy to hotness, and they really don't exist. So sorry if you're out there and you guys after the show look up the crazy to hot scale of a woman, and it's actually a very hilarious scale.
I'm sure I'll be hearing from my wife about this one. Thank you so very much for that, by the way, Troy.
She's in that good zone.
Oh yeah.
Her hotness to craziness is at the right level.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the one you marry.
She's got the balance for sure. Yes, I did good with that one.
Okay, Blake just put up the scale. Thank you, Blake. So people know
now he's Johnny on the spot.
People know he knew exactly where to find that one. So people know I wasn't crazy. But this Trabant.
Yeah, but you're hot.
Yeah.
So we'll go with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I got the hotness to balance.
Exactly.
Not so much. But the Trabant, I think it could be the worst car.
Yeah.
And it was made for over 30 years.
Well, it's like people didn't have a whole lot of choices back then. So you
buy this car.
You wanted a car, you got it.
You buy this car.
That's exactly right. Car.
So, but what did you have in Germany as the worst car? Was that the one you had?
That was the one I had. Yeah, sure.
I think this is the one.
That's the one that kept popping up. I mean, it was by far. I think it was unanimous.
Yeah. What do you have for the best German car?
I kind of like the BMW 320i.
Okay.
It's a good looking car. There's nothing, it's a little boxy.
328.
Okay.
A convertible BMW 328.
Well, the convertible is nice, yeah. But this was more of a sedan because it had a hard top. Came in a bizarre orange too. It was a weird color. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it worked out. It worked out pretty nice. They're solid, and I like them. There's just something about them.
BMWs ride really nice.
Yeah.
They ride really nice. The only problem is when they do break down.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we had a 650. Blake, you have a picture of a 650? Is that the 650?
So that's a sharp looking car.
Yeah, we had a 650. That's the first car Blake ever did 100 miles an hour in.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, I was a passenger.
He was a passenger. He was a passenger.
Okay, well played, boys.
Yeah, he was a passenger coming back from Orlando Magic. He's wearing Orlando Magic hat.
Yeah, he's bragging again.
I may have done 100 in my Tacoma.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That was the first time you did it. It wasn't my first time doing 100, Blake.
Yeah. You got to go through that rite of passage.
Yeah, and BMW's a great car, but I can tell you, I own 2 German cars now. Rebecca has the Volkswagen, Volkswagen Atlas. And I have the Audi.
Yeah.
The Audi's a good car.
I like Audis. They ride well, yeah.
Right now, one of the best cars I've ever owned is the car Rebecca has. And that's that Atlas. It is
really?
It's high up. It's a 6-cylinder. It has a lot of ass to it. It has a sport mode. And you can literally put a 4x8 piece of plywood in the back.
Okay.
And I believe, in my opinion, it's the best car. I mean, I had a Hummer for 13 years. I've had some really nice cars, including that BMW and some really nice cars. But I believe that Atlas is the best car I've ever owned. As far as utility, as far as performance, of course, it has all the new features and stuff like that. It's probably my favorite car that I've ever owned. And believe me, I owned a lot of POSs.
Right.
And I pretty much mastered the brand of POS in the 80s and 90s. So if you don't know what that is, have you ever heard that brand, Blake?
Google it.
The POS brand?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, but Blake, what do you think? Would you say you've known my last 24 years of cars? Mm-hmm. Would you say the Atlas is probably the best of the?
I'll definitely say that the Atlas is definitely the best, and I definitely know which one's the worst.
The worst since you've been alive?
Yes. The worst that I've been alive so far.
Which one was that one?
The Chevy Equinox.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was. But it's still on the road.
It's still on the road.
It's still on the road today, and it serves its purpose. But I can tell you, I hated the Chevy Equinox. But that's not a German car. We can get to the U.S. ones in a second.
Yeah.
So the Atlas to me is probably my favorite of the German cars that I've had.
I'm gonna have to look at that. I'm not familiar with the Atlas, or I'm gonna have Rebecca take me for a ride.
Yeah.
Because if you can put a 4x8 piece of plywood in the back, that's impressive right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had church pews in it last week.
Nice.
So I mean, this thing
That'll
you
haul.
can pack a lot of stuff in it. So.
And which is, it's important.
And 2 weeks ago, we had more liquor in it than you should ever have in there for the gallon.
I remember, yeah.
So, all right, are you ready for the USA?
Oh yeah.
All right. We don't have to stop at just one.
Oh, there's many to choose from.
So let's go jalopy talk.
All right, then I'm going to go way back.
Jalopy talk going way back.
I'm going to get in the Wayback Machine.
Okay.
And go to the Briggs and Stratton Flyer. 1920.
Okay.
Okay.
I had a Briggs and Stratton go-kart.
Well,
And several
and
Briggs
you know what?
and Stratton lawnmowers.
Where do you think that came from?
Okay.
Those are offshoots of the Briggs and Stratton Flyer, 1920. It's been described as a motorized park bench on wheels.
Oh, gosh.
Okay? It had no suspension, no body wear, it had no windshield, it had 5 wheels.
5?
5 wheels, and it was powered by a 2-horsepower Briggs and Stratton engine, which would basically run your lawnmower or your go-kart.
My go-kart was a 5-horse.
So you had a little bit more oomph than this.
It had 1 spark plug, 5-horse.
And the interesting thing about this, it was sort of like the motor and the fifth wheel.
You know how you turned it off? You touched the... basically, you had to get off of it and then hit the spark plug, which shocked the shit out of you every time.
Could you do it with a stick or something?
Well, who has a stick?
Well, if you keep one in your pocket or one in the car.
No.
Or the go-kart.
No, that's not very, no. You clearly did not grow up in DeLand.
No, I did not. But I also, my hair was naturally curly. I didn't have to shock it to get that way. That's all I'm saying. But the wacky thing about this was the fifth wheel was what the 2-horsepower Briggs and Stratton engine was attached to, and it sort of operated like an outboard motor on a boat. Mm-hmm. So it was propelled from the back.
Yeah.
And that's how it would go. But there was nothing about it.
The fifth wheel was the turn.
It was the propulsion.
It was centered. It was centered in it.
Yeah.
Well, like my go-kart, it was 1 wheel to the right.
Yeah.
And, you sat sidecar right beside the other motor if you had somebody ride with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you flipped it, that guy went flying.
But I got a kick out of that. It was a motorized park bench on wheels.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna start us off with German terrible car that I forgot to mention. I wanted to mention it is the Thing.
Oh, the Volkswagen Thing. Yeah. There's one of them in town I see running around. I haven't seen it in a while. There's one.
I might actually like to own one at one point just to see if they're that bad.
Well, it's there's always that fine line between Volkswagens and Nazi staff cars.
Yeah.
And the Thing is right there.
Yeah. No, the thing is basically Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah.
What General
Burkhalter
would come in on. Yeah. Whatever he'd write in on General Burkhalter. So the
Hofstadter.
Yeah. That's what I think of.
Yep.
I think of Hogan's Heroes when I think of the Thing.
Yeah.
Blake, have you ever seen an episode of Hogan's Heroes?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you really need to. That was such a clever and creative show.
I'm sorry.
It really was.
Really
It was a great show.
All right, my worst U.S. car, and there's so many to choose from. Corvair,
Yeah.
but I'm going with the Pinto, and a close second, if you made me push it, would be the Gremlin.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, the Gremlin grew up to be the PT Cruiser, though.
Is that what that was?
Well, it sort of looks like it. You had the Gremlin, and the PT Cruiser is not far off from what the Gremlin's body shape was.
See, I looked at the PT Cruiser more as like the Munster Mobile.
Okay.
Just shrunk.
Okay.
Like a smaller version of the Munster Mobile.
All right.
So I didn't hate the PT Cruiser, but I did hate the Gremlin.
Yeah, well, I can understand
And
that.
the Pacer's right there with it.
Well, the Pacer, yeah. But the Pinto would just go boom. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was just where the gas tank was, or how it you know. I mean, there was more explosions in that car than there was anywhere.
Well, and didn't the Chevy, because Ford was so successful with the sale of the Pinto, didn't Chevy come out with the Vega or something like that?
Yeah.
And that was a hideous car.
Yeah, but it didn't blow up.
It did not blow up.
So you know, I will get into nothing about the technology of it, but quite possibly the ugliest car on the street right now is the Tesla dumpster,
Oh.
the Cybertruck.
Oh, the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
The one everyone thinks I own. the little social experiment I did, people still go, "Oh, do you still have that truck?" No, I sold it. I never owned a Cybertruck. So
That is
but
just
people were so mean. Like the social media was so mean when I said, "Oh," they're like, "Oh, you waste your money on that." Well, what if it was my money? It's none of your business.
Exactly. I mean, it's just one of the strangest looking things. You know, I've never been in one, but
it is fun to drive.
yeah. Okay.
And Blake, it rides nice, doesn't it? It really does ride nice.
All right. I mean,
It might be the ugliest,
It really
but I would
is.
never put it in the worst category.
all right. No, I just right. I didn't say anything about the drivability. I'm just saying it's just ugly as sin.
These-
It is. It's a dumpster.
There you go. Blake pulled up the video of me driving it.
Yeah, I definitely will say like you definitely don't want to be driving the Tesla Cybertruck for the looks thing, but definitely is a nice car. I definitely won't
It
say
rides.
it's
It rides.
Well, is that one of those things that when you're on the inside looking out, you don't know how ugly it is? Like, I mean, a lot of people, you know, they have
I had a
houses that are ugly as
I had a
sin, but
Hummer
when
for
you're
13
inside,
years.
well, there you go.
And I definitely think like having the Cybertruck is now has like the same exact stigma if you were driving like a Hummer in like 2006.
I tell you what, I would be
Small bees.
pumping gas at the pump in like 2008, 2009 with my Hummer, and people would flip me off. And I'm like, what?
What, they think you're militaristic or a gas guzzler?
No.
They thought I was ruining the environment. Yeah, they thought I had a small wiener.
Okay, there you go.
But no, they thought I was ruining. I don't know why you flip somebody off for that, but they thought
Right.
I was ruining the environment, and they're driving a Prius.
Yeah.
Little did they know that the Prius is worse for the environment than
Yeah.
the Hummer.
Yeah.
All right, because what does the Prius have that's not does not break down in any environment?
The batteries.
Yeah, and they have like 9 of them.
And let alone the fact that it's very, very heavy, and if you get in an accident with those things, you know, any of the electric cars. I mean, that's the problem with some of the Teslas too. The batteries are so heavy that I have to find that statistic again, and maybe Blake can. But there's a 4-year period or so that more accidents, and I don't want to say deaths because I don't want to get sued by Elon without having the fact in front of me. So it's not inconceivable that there were more accidents or deaths in Teslas in a 4 or 5 year span because of the weight of the cars than any other brand of car.
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
Could you dig into that for me, Blake, please? Because I would like to have some
All right.
corroboration before Elon comes after me and his
All right, and
Doge.
I got to give Bobby credit. He's in the comments right now. I said the MG was probably the worst car, the most dangerous car I had. That's not true. The Geo Metro.
There you go.
I had a 3-cylinder Geo Metro. 1 year, I was offered a lot of money to work down in Orlando in this Seminole County area. I took the job. It was about a $10,000 pay raise, and I was probably making like $18,000. So it jumped me to like $28,000. So I was making big money, and we're talking 90s.
Right.
And I had a 3-cylinder Geo Metro that I was driving from here because I just bought my house
Right.
here. I was driving from here to Seminole County commuting. And I was like, okay, I got to commute, and I'm going to have to do this for a little bit until I move down there. That car was the scariest car to be on the highway with ever. Blake, what are you waving at right now?
Yeah, so Lenny was asking about the Tesla fail crashes. So between 2017 and 2022, Tesla vehicles have a fail crash rate of 5.6 per billion miles driven. Next up is Kia with 5.5 billion miles driven than Buick at 4.8. So it's not a huge margin per se, but still, they're still
They
number
are
one.
number one.
Right. Yeah.
But they are number one. What's considered the safest car right now?
Safest car, let me double check.
Because it used to be your car.
Yeah, the Toyota, let's see,
No,
dangerous.
the Volvo.
Yeah.
The Volvo used to be like the safest car
Yeah,
out there.
Volvos and Saabs. Yeah, the
Vol-
Swedish cars. We
yeah,
didn't even bring
Swedish
Sweden
cars.
into the
We couldn't-
conversation.
we couldn't
Right, we're
mix
running
it.
out of countries. Right, exactly.
Couldn't mix it in. All right, U.S. Your best U.S. car, and Blake. While Blake's doing that,
My best U.S. car. I really did love my first Ford Explorer. I got to say that car got me through a lot of years and a lot of restaurant humping product. So that's a personal thing. But I also enjoyed that broken Pontiac Tempest, man. Kind of sharp looking and a really, really ugly green. And it was a hand-me-down too. But yeah, I'm content with those. You could get into Cadillacs. You could get into, Oldsmobiles. My father was a loyal Oldsmobile buyer forever.
So, you're saying the Tempest. Which one?
Pontiac Tempest was,
Pontiac Tempest?
Well, that was just fun to drive. That was the one I had up in college. It was a hand-me-down from my aunt, and I really enjoyed that because I didn't care. It was like a '69 Tempest, and it had a lot of miles on it.
All right. Mine is what you got, Blake.
Yeah, so you were asking about the safest cars. So right now, apparently, the top ones are like Hondas, Lexuses, Hondas, Toyotas, surprisingly a BMW, but mainly Japanese cars are definitely up there for the safest.
So the Swedish are out, huh?
The Swedes are out.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked by that. but-
Surprising.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I always thought when I think of Volvo, when he was buying his Volvo,
sure.
I was like, oh, that's a good safe car for my
right.
son.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, my car is the GT, Ford GT, and Blake, if you can
GT or GTO?
GT.
Okay.
Blake, if you
Now,
can pull
okay, I'm gonna have to
Shelby.
put an asterisk on this. So,
up the Shelby,
where was this car actually built in?
the Shelby.
Yes.
Yeah, and out of a box in a garage.
Which
That car. That's not the one I'm talking about. That's the one that was a race car.
Right. That was Carroll Shelby.
Give me the Roadster.
So you want the 2005 version?
I want a '63, and
There you
it's
go.
the only street legal car that was able to do 200 miles an hour. Because I think nope, that's still the race car.
Yeah.
Has kind of a little round on the front.
See, while he's looking, I'm going to chime back in with the Ford Thunderbird. I had a '65 Ford
The Dantana one, or the one that kind of when they started to make them a little bigger.
No, it was a good size. It was a Thunderbird convertible, '65.
Okay.
It was a great year. That was the convertible. That was where the trunk would go backwards for the lid to go in,
down.
and it would come back that way. Man, that was a beautiful car. And I got it from a friend of mine, and then I had it repainted, and I painted it Fire Mist, which was like a copper with
Get
metallic
closer,
flints.
Blake. Still race car.
Revolution from the booth.
Okay, you keep saying it's the Ford GT.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Oh goodness, I'm gonna have to put it on the website later because we might not have time.
All right.
I'm gonna look for it right now. But
Please don't tell me it's this version, the newest one.
no, I told you
Oh.
no. So
All right. Anyway,
Look up Carroll Shelby.
Oh, wait, hold on. The Shelby?
yes,
Yeah, right.
Oh, the Cobra, you mean?
the Cobra, yeah.
Well, why didn't you say so?
So yeah, the Shelby, that's still
Right.
Ford.
Right.
You were saying it was the Ford GT.
It is a Ford. Who do you think Shelby worked for?
The Ford
just-
GT is
Hey,
something
there you
different.
go.
You said Ford GT.
The Cobra.
How's
the
that
Cobra.
one doing for you? There you go.
There. How
you
about
go.
this one?
That's the
That's a
one.
sharp looking car. And, that's
Sorry,
got the
Blake.
giant racing stripe right down the center.
Who do you think paid for that, Blake? It wasn't Shelby. It was Ford.
Right. And then and
Did
to
you
cor-
not see the movie?
I was going to say Ford,
I did see the movie.
Ford versus
You
Ferrari.
kept
It's a great
saying,
movie.
Blake, please pull up an image of a Ford GT.
I should have said Cobra. I apologize.
There.
But in my mind, that is a GT,
Right, yes.
not the racing car. In your young mind,
It's a Cobra.
so okay.
Okay, Dad, you made me so mad. I really want to take the nitroglycerin pills Carol Shelby took to keep his heart pumping. Dang.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to work my way back to the show, but you know what? We're out of time. I'm glad Blake finally got to the right one.
That's it.
I'm sorry, Blake. I should have said Cobra. I'll take the blame for that. Best car you ever owned, you're saying, was a Tempest?
Oh no, it was the '65 Ford Thunderbird.
65 Ford
convertible.
Thunderbird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have 1965 now.
Okay.
Have you seen my 1965?
Is it under the canopy in your driveway?
Yeah.
I may have, but I have a feeble memory.
Yeah, it's a CJ5. It's a Jeep.
Okay.
And
yeah.
its name's Frankenstein
Okay.
because it's somewhere between 65 and 1980. We have parts as parts.
Right. Yep.
So I do love my Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to get mad at me. Outside, my best American car I ever owned was the Hummer.
Okay.
I got almost 200,000 miles on it, and
You could drive through and over anything.
I can drive over and up, and it would drive up a wall.
Yeah.
And this car was a good vehicle. And
Your Hummer would definitely drive over this thing.
yeah, oh, without a doubt. What is that? That's a Soul.
Kia Soul.
Yeah, that's my new most hated car.
Right. With or without the hamsters.
Hi, Aiden.
Yeah, sorry, Aiden. So nephew Aiden.
Yes, that's what Aiden drives.
Yeah.
I'll be talking to him about that on Tuesday.
So, all right. That's the end of our show. If you guys would, we appreciate it. Please share the show. It's a fun show. Thank you,
Right.
Lenny.
Support our sponsors. We'd appreciate that, and so would they.
Yes, they definitely would. Blake, appreciate it, even though you got mad at me. This is Bollox Talks and Tangents, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.